Aloha everyone, Joshua Hayes at BigWaveTrading.com. I hope everybody watching this has had a great, wonderful weekend so far. As we head into the new trading week, I want to make it very clear, price is all that matters. Price is what pays. Nothing else matters. That being said, there is healthy price action and there is unhealthy price action. What we're seeing right now is unhealthy price action, but it's positive price action nonetheless, so you obey it and you follow it. But I want to show everybody once again, you can see here as we make these higher highs in the market, you can see this uptrending nature of it. This indicator that I have on here is my time segment volume, but it doesn't matter what you throw up there. Stochastics, RSI, MACD, PPO, I don't care what it is. You'll see the same negative divergences from each and every high. Now, normally you want to see positive divergences, like if this low would have been lower than that low, this low lower than that low, and you see this, that's super bullish and a breakout you want to buy. Normally when you see this, this is bearish and you don't want to short it, but at the same time you don't want to get too aggressive. And also, that being said, you see this little oval here showing you the low volume overall. I can't really expand it, but that low volume as we move higher continues. Normally you want to see the moving average of the volume increase as we move up. So just keep all that in mind. Price is all that matters, but it's unhealthy. I still think that at the very minimum, if we do start to sell off, our first basic support area is around that 303 level. After that, the 50-day moving average comes into play around 298, and then a serious consideration still needs to be made with that open gap from October 10th to October 11th. The markets love to fill gaps. Remember this one from back here? We start to move higher, but eventually what happens? We fill it. Then there's a gap, we fill it. Another gap, we fill it. This is the only open gap here, and there's actually a little gap right here. That's why I think a pullback to 303 would be healthy. But eventually, at some point, this gap is going to get filled. So keep all of that in mind. We're bullish. Price is good. We can keep melting higher, but we've also been up for 5 straight weeks on the S&P 500. It just makes sense that a pullback would happen. Now, my time segment volume at the very least is above the 0 line. This line is above its moving average, and it's moving higher. That is great on a daily. On a weekly, the same thing has happened. We're still above the 0 line. The lead line is above the signal line, the moving average line, so that's also really good to see. But once again, for me to have super conviction behind any uptrend to where you will see me personally go 5, 10, 20% of my account capital into a beautiful, what I would consider a beautiful setup, which there are none out there. I scan many stocks on an end-of-day basis, and I'll tell you right now, there is nothing out there that says, oh yeah, I'm throwing all of my capital into this. There just continues to be a lot of good signals, but most of them are extended, most of them are earnings winners, and most of them are prone to pullbacks if and when this market pulls back. So this monthly line here, until I see this turn higher and get above its moving average line on a monthly basis, this is the sweet spot. When the monthly TSV looks like this, good things happen. When the monthly TSV looks like this, good things happen. When the monthly TSV looks like this, good things happen. And we can just go back and back and back to any period of a really solid, strong uptrend, and you will see the monthly TSV trending higher. So until I see that happening, I'm going to personally on my end keep throwing 1% darts at new long positions. So that's where we stand in the market. Let's look at some individual stock. All right, before we go over a new long position I want to give out to everyone, it's got a pretty good chart set up. It isn't perfect, but we'll give that out later on. I figure first let's look at some winners and losers from Friday's session. Most people love to just look at the winners. I like to look at everything. So let's start with the losers. COLD. This is a 100% end-of-day sell signal. So if you use my website and the stocks that I select on an end-of-day basis, you would be selling it all at the market, at the open on Monday. Now, do you see where this white arrow is? This was the long signal back here. This is what the chart looked like. This is when I went long. Candle over candle, heavier above average volume, max screen bop, pocket pivot point signal. So I've been in this name for a very long time. So If you bought it with a day market order the very next morning and held it till the close or till the open on Monday, you still would have made a 15% gain. But I just want everyone to see this is a stock chart that I would no longer hold a name. So cold is done. That is a 100% sell signal. JYNT, boo, this one not good. I have been knocked out of all of it. Now, just to let you know, I trail my stops up, and I had multiple stops on this name. I had so many, in fact, that they all triggered on Friday, and I will tell you every single one that triggered in the price. 1835, 1932, that was kind of weird, 1886, 1905, 1876, 1864, 1833. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stops on JYNT. $1 to get in, $7 to get out, $8 total dollars. That being said, look at that reversal right back up. Too bad it cleared out all of my stops. It cleared them all out. Now, the good news is this is what it looked like on the entry point day. Right there, 1835 was the entry, got long at 1835. So the vast majority of these looks like it was for profits, except for that 1835, first one was break even, and the final one, 1833, was for a 2-cent loss. So that's the power of using this methodology. So even though JYNT ends up being a big failure and knocks me out of everything, it is still not a 100% end of day sell signal. It's a 50% end-of-day sell signal because it's closing below the 20-day moving average on heavier above average volume with red BOP. And actually, since the new long signal, it's still up 5%. So Friday was a pretty good session. I'm basically, the stocks that I'm showing you right now are basically the only ones that were poor performers for me on Friday. It was a really good day for my portfolio. The last one I want to look at is FLY. Once again, there's your white arrow. Why? Because this is what the stock looked like when I went long. Fly was an earnings winner, can slim quality. I don't think it was in my perfect speculator scan, but that would have added to it. But you can see it closed higher than where it opened. The trigger in the signal is at 1561. It takes it a few sessions. This day, for some odd reason, it didn't fill. I don't know why. Don't know what happened that day, but it filled on this day. I am then long Fly. And it turned out pretty good, but I did add to my position, so that has reduced the cost basis. I think it was around here whenever I added to it. This day, that looks like it would have been filled the very next day, so it kind of reduced the overall cost basis. That being said, or the overall profit basis. So that being said, had you only taken the first signal, even with that session, 33% gain still. Awesome, but still, this is a chart pattern now that indicates to me the trend is probably over. So what I've done is now I only have 2 stops on the books. I have 50% right here, and I have 50% right there. So there's 50%, that line, and there's the final 50%, 1 cent below this base low of day. But as you can see, when you buy proper, losses are mitigated. I've shown you some big losers before, and they're never that big compared to the winners. So with that being said, on the losers, let's look at the winners. And we're not going to spend too much time on them because you should be familiar with STKL by now, but this one just keeps moving higher. 73% gain in under 1 month. I wish there were more charts and more stocks that acted like this. I wish there were more signals like this, but this is a rare signal, and this is still not a great signal. Why? See that above average volume there? See the yellow BOP there? So it's not great. I had to treat it as every other signal. So there's no extra added size into this name. It's just a 73% winner since its signal. UEIC became an earnings winner on Friday. This was actually don't know why there's an arrow there. Something would have gone wrong because I know it wouldn't have gotten filled. It would have gotten filled the next day. Must have just added it out of, I don't know why I would have added it that day. Either way, this is the signal day. Candle over candle above the 50-day moving average. Heavier above average volume, increase in green BOP. Got filled this day, not the day before. Kind of weird. So this is the gain on UEIC. Bam. 22% gain, 1 month. I like that. Sure does beat all the losers that I have right now. IDN, you can see the arrow here. Here is the new long signal. IDN comes from my perfect speculator scan. Nice consolidation above the 50-day moving average. It's curling higher. Candle over candle, heavier above average volume. Increase in BOP. Boom. IDN straight higher. 21% gain in under 1 month. That's what we like to see. And then the final one I'll review for a new long signal, or for a winner, is one, once again, that you're all familiar with. We've gone over it a few times, but it just keeps hitting higher highs, and this is because it's under a short squeeze. This one's got a very high short float, and this is what's possible in less than a month. Actually, in about, what is that? How many days is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. In 12 sessions, 36% gain. Gotta love that. So those are the winners. Those are the losers. I've also given out a lot of, not a lot, but I've given out a few new long signals publicly to everyone. See how they're doing. SHOO, so far so well. But once again, if you took this long signal, there's your uptrend line. Continue to obey the uptrend line if you just want to be super aggressive. This to me is way too aggressive, this uptrend line. I would not do this, but a close below it, you just get out. This is still where my final stop is, but since we entered this position, it's up right around 4.86%. So not too shabby on SHOO. IPHI still not doing a whole lot, but it's not failing either. My final cut loss is there, but once again, like I said, you take a large position, you should still be in it, but there's your uptrend line. But I think I initially, after that new long position, I said that the uptrend line would connect across these lows. So technically you would be out, which is why I never ever stick with anything that's got that kind of slope to it. This is probably more proper now. So if you are long IPHI, you see it close below that uptrend line, you might want to bail if you have a large position. Me, this is my final stop right there below there. Tesla continues to working really well. It's under a short squeeze. We'll see if it continues higher, but oh, I always press the wrong button. But since going long, we have a 6% gain in Tesla. And CPRT, still overall doing good for me. This was the ad signal, would have knocked everybody out. But as you can see, I'm still long from back here. Overall, the trend is solid. My final cut loss level on CPRT is still all the way back here. But I have tiered stop levels 1, 2, 3, and 4 on CPRT. And that will take us to the new long position for everyone for Monday. We'll see if it triggers. ALGT. Now, ALGT normally is something I wouldn't go into early, but I just have that feeling that if I don't take a cheater position into it, that I'm going to miss it. ALGT, nice hammer candle on Friday, closing higher than where it opened off strong support since its earnings beat day. And it beat on the top and bottom line. ALGT is an earnings winner. ALGT is also Cancelim quality. It's in my Cancelim scan. And it's also in my pre-perfect speculator quality scan. So it's Cancelim and perfect speculator quality. Now I'll remind everybody, the perfect speculator scan has been built based off the book, The Perfect Speculator by Brad Kodeshwar. Very underrated stock market book. Very short book. Well under 200 pages. One of the most, I guess, least talk about gem of a book in the stock market out there. It's one of the most, I don't know, it's the best book that I can find on actually building a scan behind and it working. But bottom line is ALGT got that hammer candle off that price support. Volume, like I said, I'm not worried. It's consolidating on quiet volume. That's what I want to see. My hope is that soon it will come out of this little squeeze, this little flag pattern that it's making. We can connect this just to make the flag so I can show you guys the flag. There's extension of the line, so we'll go ahead and then remove it. Eventually, the goal is break out and blow out and run. 168.91 is my good to cancel buy stop limit order. It's where my stop is and it's where my limit is. Perfect price or I don't want it. I'm that anal in regards to these positions on an end-of-day basis. So 168.91, 1 tick, 1 cent above the high of the day on Friday is going to be where I enter. And then if I get filled, initially, my first stop will be 1 cent below this base low right here on 1030, 165.05. My final stop initially will be right here at 158.11, 1 cent below that earnings win gap up day. Now, I don't plan on this stop ever coming into play, but let's say on Monday it shoots up and through my good to cancel buy stop limit, fills me, and some crazy news comes out and ALGT crashes all the way into the 140s and 30s. Highly unlikely, but if it does, that's why I got that stop. And I'll remind everybody on ALNA, it did that. See that uptrend line? Where was my final stop on ALNA? Here was my entry first off. We already reviewed it. Go check the past video lessons. It was a nice winner, and we took profits on the way up. One of the profit targets was here. Then I had a profit target here, so I was well out of over 75% of this position. But my final profit stop was right here. Look at what happened on Thursday. Bam! 61% drop following the open. Had I not had my stops, and even if you would have trailed it all the way back to here, let's say that you gave it room to run and you still had your final stop here, you still would have been taken out around the 380 level instead of watching this thing crash all the way to 224. So that's why I do the stops the way that I do on these stocks. But if ALGT never triggers up and through 168.91 and it starts to trade lower on heavier or above average volume and loses the green bot, the trade will be canceled. I'll remind everybody, OSIS was a new long signal, but the trade never triggered and on this day failed. Trade was canceled from the interactive broker system and I moved on. I just moved on. That's what you do. So ALGN or ALGT, up and through, 1 cent above the high of the day. I get long. Initially my stops are here, but as it moves higher, you can be sure this stop should never come into play. This is basically a day one stop. After, if it starts to work, whatever the low a day is, on the day it gets filled will be a stop, and then the final stop will be right here. All right, everyone, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. I hope, once again, your trading went well the past week. I hope you had a great weekend, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I'll get to them. If you like the video lesson, please give me a thumbs up, reshare, retweet, whatever you want to do. I really appreciate all the love from the social media and YouTube community.